Hello everyone, welcome to the Sage Intacct Project Financial Management Product Tour. My name's Ben and I'm with Sage Intacct. Sage Intacct is the #1 cloud accounting software solution that's built for finance by finance. We're the first and only AICPA preferred financial management solution and #1 in customer satisfaction. This product tour will cover all the critical capabilities that are needed for project financial management. Topics include how finance teams can use our solution to track projects, capture related costs, and monitor project performance in real time. And at the end of this tour, we'll also take some questions from the audience. So what are the important pieces of information that finance should have in mind when they think of a system when it comes to projects? Well, in Chapter 1 of this product tour, let's see how Sage Intacct will help you track your projects when all the necessary information is in the right place. Now, when companies start off, they have an accounting system that can handle your GL, receivables, and payables. But when it comes to accounting for project-based businesses, there are other activities taking place that are outside the realm of what accounting systems can handle. Timesheets are submitted, expense reports are filed, goods and services are purchased to complete projects, and sales orders are created anytime a new project is created. And in order for finance teams to invoice their clients, they have to collect all this information every billing cycle. And also finance has to do their reporting to understand how the project has performed and impacted the business. And as companies grow and handle more projects, this process becomes more expensive for finance to support without hiring for more help. And at this rate, there's less visibility, less control, that leading to lower profitability. So what you're about to see are the following capabilities that a project financial management solution should have in order for a finance team to keep track of projects. So let's take a look.
Thanks, Ben. Hi, my name's Kern, and I'm a sales engineer here with Sage Intacct, and I'm really happy to show you some of the benefits that Sage Intacct's project accounting solution can do for you. So what we're looking at today, I've signed in, and the upper right, as you can see, is Emma, the controller, who's also a project manager. Now, Emma has a dashboard with all the information she needs to track on all of her projects under her supervision. So if we start at the top, we've got some nice performance cards or KPIs that Emma likes to track as far as labor costs, services revenue, other expenses, etc. If I scroll down further on my dashboard, you'll see a number of different things that are very important to Emma as far as how the financials are going on her projects, project utilization, billable hours, and other information. We'll come back to this dashboard toward the end of today's presentation, but first, let's take a look at our projects and what Emma's actually working on. Under my dashboard, underneath my bookmarks, I'm going to show you my project list. What you'll see next is a list of all the active projects that I'm working on and some of the details around those projects. I can use any of the filters above to be able to find any of the projects, as this list may grow extremely long. So let's take a look at one of these projects and some of the different things we can do here. Let's take a look at the capsule implementation project. And I'll go ahead and open that in edit mode. What you're going to see next is a list of several detail areas outlining the different components of my project. First, we're looking at a very high level project ID, project name, what my project status is. The project statuses can be user defined as you move through your project. Next, under additional info, I can also track progress against budgets, observe complete percentages, any contacts, and some billing information. So you can see this billing type is time and materials, but they can be milestone based or whatever type of billing you'd like to perform. Above, next, we'll go over to resources. This is where I can track all the different people using these are all of the resources on my project. I have 4. You can see the start and end dates and their labor billing rate that's going to go on their invoices. To the left, I can also do a resource search to look for the appropriate person for my project based on availability and skill set. The next area we're going to look at is the project summary, and this puts it all together as far as how we're doing on this particular capsule implementation project. What we're seeing first is a financial summary showing me my total revenues, total costs, gross profit, etc. Down below, I can see some budget information as far as revenue budgets, cost budgets, etc. The number of hours that are billable on my project, what's been unbilled, basically putting everything on one page as far as how we're performing on our project. Also showing me what's coming in from other parts of the Intacct system, like timesheets, expense reports, or purchase orders, AP invoices, etc. Let's finally look at some invoice options. Our invoice options allow us to establish some controls about how we want to invoice our customers on this or any other projects. And finally, I want to show you my Gantt chart. The Gantt chart is really a nice way of showing all of the resources, working on all of the components or tasks or phases of my project. And if I scroll down, you can see the legend at the bottom, and I can scroll across all of the different tasks of this project to be able to track in a visual way how we're doing on this project. Back to you, Ben.
Okay, great. And that was a demonstration of how Sage Intacct solution gives you one single place that tells you everything you need to know about your projects. Let's move on. Another challenge for project-based businesses is to be able to capture all the different project costs and have everything billable appear on the client invoice when you do your billing. In this chapter of the product tour, let's see how Sage Intacct will help you capture all your project costs in real time, so you can invoice your clients quickly and easily. Because when it comes to project costs, there's multiple sources. Billable resources enter timesheets and submit expenses. These can be employees or contractors. Project managers who oversee the completion of projects. They're approving timesheets and expenses, handling change orders, and these things which have an impact of budget and resource scheduling. And procurement, a third source, where goods and services are being purchased in order to serve the client to complete the project. Now, all these different costs need to get captured to invoice the client correctly. And if processes are manual, where a finance person has to collect information manually, we find that finance teams are having lots of challenges. First of all, clients, they have different requirements when it comes to billing. Some are fixed fee and expenses, time and materials. Some are billed when milestones are met, or others are billed up front. And when there's a manual process where time isn't submitted on time and change orders aren't being captured correctly, that's when we see mistakes starting to happen. And if a company is trying to grow fast, these challenges are very painful because the finance team, they're unable to keep track of so many projects happening at the same time. And so what you're about to see are the following capabilities that a project financial management solution should have in order for a finance team to capture project costs in real time so that invoices are always accurate. Let's take a look.
Thanks, Ben. So to take a look at some of these costs that are hitting our project, I've signed in now as a consultant working on one of our projects. If you look in the upper right corner, you can see I'm signed in as Nick Tesla. So Nick is on his dashboard, which looks a bit different than a project manager's dashboard because he's really tracking messages, his outstanding purchase requisitions, expense reports, and his timesheets. So why don't we go in and take a look at how to enter in a timesheet. So we'll go to time and expenses, into my timesheets. Here I can track all of my different timesheets that I've submitted, track the status, and be able to see when they've been approved or rejected. So let's just add a new timesheet for the most recent week. You can see today's date has defaulted for me. I can give a description. Any attachments that may be relevant to my timesheet. And the next field is, which project am I working on? So we're going to work on the NGen implementation project. Scroll over to the task area, and we're going to charge this time to task number 1 on our work breakdown structure. The only other thing we need to do now is enter in the number of hours per day. So we'll say we worked 8 hours each day this week. We're up to 40 hours, and now I can go ahead and submit. Notice that I can always do this piecemeal. So I can enter in my time as we progress through the week, hit draft, and when it's time, I can finish my timesheet and then come over and submit the timesheet. Now workflow is kicking in to route my timesheet over to my manager, project manager, or whomever is responsible for reviewing and approving my timesheets. Okay, now we've signed back in as Emma, the project manager, and Emma can now see some of the workflow notifications that have come into our dashboard to approve, in this case, timesheets. As you can see, there's 2 outstanding timesheets from Nick. So in real time, as soon as Nick is submitting his timesheet, it's routed to Emma, where she can then go in, review, and approve the timesheet. This will then in turn notify Nick that his timesheet has been approved for this work week. You can do the same thing with purchasing transactions, expense reports, etc., as far as tracking other pieces of information relevant to our project. Okay, next, once we've accumulated certain costs and it's ready and we're ready to bill our customers, Emma can go through her menu path over to projects and now use the generate invoices feature to go and accumulate all the costs relevant to her project and automatically bill the invoices and send them to our customers. Those can be sent via email or paper invoices, depending on the preference of the client. So invoicing options, these are parameters that I can select. If I only want to bill for a certain project, a certain customer, all of these things are available to Emma as far as how she wants to tailor the invoicing process. She can also use filters to come in and explore further other options as far as how we want to bill our invoices for this particular invoice run. So we're going to bill for our project, and now we can select our project. I can select our engine implementation project and take a preview to see the invoices that are being selected for this particular invoice run. Now it's giving me some nice information, budgeted billing amounts available, total amount to invoice 113,000, etc. All of these things available to be able to run. At this point, Emma can review what's about to be billed and compiled on a invoice from timesheet entries that we're looking at here. Further down, expense reports, any accounts payable invoices, purchasing transactions, or any other type of line item that belongs on this particular invoice. As we scroll back up, if there are certain timesheets that we don't want to include on this invoice run, I can simply deselect each of those different cost items, and that will prepare the invoice based on how I've tailored the invoice to be sent. Once I've done that, I can hit the Create Invoice button. Those invoices will be created, and if they need to be emailed to our customers, that will happen in real time. Back to you, Ben.
So that was a demonstration of how Sage Intacct gives you a solution that will never miss a billable project cost when it's time to invoice the client. And our customers have benefited tremendously from using the system. One customer, Mod Squad, they're a social media moderation firm with over 10,000 project consultants in their network. And with their old system, billing was manual since their accounting system couldn't capture project costs automatically. And during the monthly billing cycle, finance would have to have meetings with project managers to gather all the project costs that need to be billed. And these meetings consume nearly a week's amount of time to complete. But after making the switch to Sage Intacct, the finance team was able to finish all their billing on the first day of the month. And they also improved margins by 2% within 1 month after going live on Sage Intacct. Let's move on. Another challenge for project-based businesses is being able to monitor project performance in real time. Now, in this chapter of the product tour, let's see how Sage Intacct will help you gain visibility into understanding not only how your projects are performing, but also the financial impact to the overall business. Now, when it comes to understanding project performance, the finance team wants reports, and they want to be able to analyze the business based on the bias of the business, such as by location, by client, or by project. But all the information that everyone wants, they sit in different transaction systems that were never designed to do reporting and analysis. And this becomes an issue because when finance has to extract information from multiple sources, they spend a lot of time managing data and not enough time doing analysis. And this starts to feel a lot more like doing database administration instead of finance. And the reporting process is also error prone. And if you're trying to grow your project-based business, it doesn't scale. So what you're about to see are the following capabilities that a project financial management solution should have in order for a project-based business to have real-time insight into both project performance and company performance. Let's take a look.
Thanks, Ben. Emma's now back on her project dashboard to track some of the key pertinent information around project performance on her dashboard. Dashboard is very flexible, and she can add different KPIs, different reports, just with a couple mouse clicks. All she needs to do is add new components using this plus sign on her toolbar. She can also slice and dice this to be able to look at project performance by project, by customer, or any of the other dimensions related to this project as they're tagged to those transactions along the way. The first component here is looking at our project financials, and you can see a couple numbers that are popping out to us in green, blue, and red. This conditional highlighting can serve to bring our eyes to attention anything that is falling out within certain comfort thresholds. In this case, on the capsule implementation, I see a couple items in red, and if I want to investigate those, it's just a mouse click away. So I click on that number in red, and now it takes me down into details that can then show me more information about the transaction in order to pursue what is happening on that transaction. Further down, from a resource scheduling standpoint, I have a utilization component where I can track all my utilized resources. And again, I have some nice conditional highlighting here where I can go in this case, take a look at Isaac Newton's timesheet, where there's a couple items that are red. At this point, I can look at the employee information as far as resource planning is concerned. Now I can see the different things about this employee that might aid me in a resource search. For example, this position, skills, or certifications on the employee record, locations, availability, etc. And back to our timesheet, a couple other things, billable hours trend. So now we have a nice trend analysis report showing us how we're doing as far as billable hours across time. So these these bar graphs can be displayed a number of different ways. I'm looking at a simple bar chart here, but just bear in mind that there's lots of different graphical options as far as how you want to consume the data on your dashboard. Again, we did approve some expenses from Nick earlier, and we can also go into his timesheets as well as any of those purchasing transactions as far as real-time workflows are concerned, bringing that information as it's presented to keep our projects running. Finally, as information piques Emma's interest, we have a nice feature within Intacct called Chatter or Collaborate, where you can contact other members of the organization and write comments back and forth for real-time collaboration at a very high level or a very granular level at a transaction. Let's take a look at an example. If I were to open up the capsule implementation, where that item in red over there had some lingering questions, I could simply click on the project. And if I scroll down, this is the project detail list that I showed you earlier. If we scroll down, you can see a comment list. This is where I can ask, what about those project costs? In red, please advise. I share this. This can go to a group of people within our team, to individual owners of that task on the project, etc. However you want to tailor your chatter, it's just a wonderful way to collaborate with team members within the Intacct system. Back to you, Ben.
So what you saw was a demonstration of how Sage Intacct gives you a solution that will give you real-time insight into everything you need to know about the business. Unlike other systems that don't allow you to give that access or to get that access to a granular level as you need to understand the business. And our customers have benefited tremendously from using the system. One in particular, Red Door Interactive, is a marketing agency that created self-service dashboards where executives, client services, department heads, and finance were able to find relevant, timely information on demand. Now, in the old system, it would take days for the finance team to create reports and share them across the company. But with Sage Intacct, they use the dashboards and they're able to see everything in real time, including gross margin by customer, by client, and unbilled revenue, which track time and materials per project against budget. Let's move on. So in this chapter, let's take a look at some of the different success stories our customers have experienced using our solution for project financial management. The Goodway Group, a third-generation family-owned business. The Goodway Group has evolved significantly over the past 9 decades, transforming from a printing press to a direct mail marketer into a programmatic digital services organization. And after shifting its focus to digital marketing, the agency grew rapidly and found it could no longer run its financial processes on their old system. And some of the challenges included having lack of detailed insights. They were having a really hard time getting P&Ls by campaign and by client. And then by the time results were available, it was already outdated and 30 to 45 days old by the time leadership received it. Processes were also inefficient. They were using a lot of Excel and had to do data entry manually. And at the rate that they were going, they would have needed 9 additional headcount if they kept using the old system. Now, after making the switch to Sage Intacct, they were able to use real-time dashboards and get full insight into the business. And they're able to use the dimensional functionality to slice and dice based on project segments, clients, and were able to get the deeper reporting analysis that they were looking for. And as a result, they were able to spot trends quickly or anomalies quickly that needed their attention so that they could react and course correct as they needed. And then from a process perspective, they really cut time needed for doing job costing. And in particular, one of the things that took the most time was actually job costing by campaign. And they're doing that manually. But as a result of using Sage Intacct, they were able to automatically match job costing details with the invoice, and it actually allowed them to lower their processing time for billing from 40 hours to just minutes. And as a result, they grew 227% in just over 4 years. Here's another example, Red Door Interactive. With their rapid expansion over the past 15 years, their finance team, they were also facing growing pains. And they too initially had lack of timely visibility. They run projects and their client managers, they're having a hard time getting visibility into budget and how much was left. At the time they did their reports, they were also stale. They were 30 days old by the time leadership became aware of anything. And at month end, what was happening is that the controller was doing reporting in Excel and had to share information with the department managers. And as a result, it just was becoming very hard to support as time was passing. And then from a process perspective, AP was manually intensive. They were dealing with duplicate data entry from manual entering, and it caused them to spend 55 hours a month to re-enter data. Now, after making the switch to Sage Intacct, they were able to use dashboards to get real-time reporting of what was going on, especially from budget to actuals and avoiding cost overruns. And the people outside of finance, owners, executives, and client managers, they were able to get timely information to make informed decisions. And then from a process perspective, AP, they cut their processing time by 83%. And given the amount of purchasing that they're doing with media buyers, they were able to actually upload information really quickly into the system, and so that it allowed them to spend less time doing accounts payable and to service their clients better. And as a result, they realized a 9-month payback after moving to the new system, and they didn't have to hire additional help. And so why Sage Intacct? Well, we believe we're the right partner to help you in your success. We are the first and only preferred provider of the AICPA, and we are the only vendor to have earned that endorsement. We're also the undisputed leader in customer satisfaction, as evidenced by a rating of 90 out of 100 on G2 Crowd across over 2,000 reviews. And we're the undisputed leader in innovation. We're recognized as a visionary by industry analysts. Now let's take some questions. You can type them into the chat box to submit them, and we already have some coming in. And here's the first question. We're already using other systems for project management, time and expenses, and sales. can I still use Sage Intacct for handling my project financials along with these other systems? And the answer is yes, you can. For things like sales information and project information, there's a couple different ways you can get all that into the system. One, there's what I call the old-fashioned way, where someone can sit down at a machine and just enter it directly into the system. Two, if it's a lot more voluminous information, you can import things directly from a spreadsheet like Excel. And then third, you also have the option to use our APIs to connect with other systems to bring in the information you need in real time. And these APIs, they not only work with project management and CRM systems, but any system that has an open database. Great question. Here's the second question. Do I need IT resources to build dashboards? No, you don't. Our dashboards, they were built and designed to be usable and manageable by someone who doesn't have an IT technical background, like a finance person. In our system, we call that person a business user, where a business user can add as many dashboards as needed and also control who can see them. And for the people who can see them, they can have different levels of access to the system. Some can just view things, others can edit things, others can do both. That's another great question. And then third, here's another question coming in. Can I create my own KPIs? Yes, you can. And KPIs, the way they work in Sage Intacct is that they're calculated based on the accounts you have in the system and the mathematical equation you want to use to compute the number. And these accounts, they not only have to be accounts that are financial, but they can be operational, or what some people call statistical, things that are not about just dollars, but things that could be more about something that has nothing to do with dollars, like items or like a rate, for example. And what this means is that if you have a certain formula that's used by your company to calculate an important metric, the system can do it for you automatically every time the same way whenever you or anyone else is looking at a dashboard. Great question. So thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you next time.